everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, it's Mabon. Or did we decide
it is
Mabon? We don't know.
We literally have no idea how to pronounce it, but it's the vernal equinox. It's the autumn equinox for those of us here in the northern hemisphere.
The autumnal equinox?
Sure.
Autumnal equinox? Is that the same thing as vernal? Anywho, proceed.
Anyway, here's the thing. There are some religions that take the equinoxes and the solstices very seriously.
Oh, seriously indeed.
We're going to talk about the very serious matter of an equinox and fall and what's happening.
Oh, I love fall.
Into the seasons.
Yes.
We'll save it for later. You and I are gonna get into a season fight.
Oh
It's gonna
no,
be great.
Dan. No. All right. Well, Dan,
Yeah.
before I get into this story, I just want to state something as a reminder to everybody out there. The Catholic Church's stance on gay marriage is, or even just the idea of like blessing a marriage, right? This innocuous idea of like, oh, well, we won't do gay marriages, but you can come in and we'll bless your union, right?
Right.
The Catholic Church's stance is that they cannot bless same-sex unions because, quote, God cannot bless sin. Okay, this is official.
Yeah, you can't. I think actually the official term, the official position on it is fuck no.
All right. So with that having been stated, I want to share the story about a group of Belgian Catholic bishops. I think it's rather official. I just said it in such a way that didn't sound very official. It's like their official group, right?
Sure.
They have proposed a prayer for gay couples.
Oh.
Okay. And they're being very like careful here. They're like, well,
walking the line.
Yeah, we are. This is not about blessing their unions. This is about a prayer.
Dear God and Jesus, please bless these two terrible, awful, disgusting sinners that they will stop being so gross. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Yeah, I think that it's not that explicit as far as like their judgment. But nonetheless, this is all in an effort to sort of reach out to gay people, right? To help gay people feel integrated into the church, right? Because like that's important, right? They want to create a climate of respect, recognition, and integration. There's that word. They stressed that the moment of prayer was by no means a sacramental marriage.
Okay, good. As long as we're clearing that up, thank God.
But and they note in their sort of announcement that they're going to be praying with gay people that Catholic teaching holds that gays must be treated with dignity and respect, right? But with also a reminder that homosexual acts are, quote, intrinsically disordered, right? Which is not a respectful phrase.
They searched high and low for that word, the perfect word where it's like it doesn't sound totally offensive, but it's still all the way offensive, but it doesn't sound like we think you're a terrible human. Just disordered.
Just, you could be a little more, you're a little unkempt. You could be more
You're
kempt.
untidy is what you are as a human. You're an untidy human. Just tidy up, will you?
So the proposed text for the commitment prayer suggests that the couple thank God for letting them find each other and pledge to be there for one another throughout their lives. The community then responds with a prayer of its own, praying for God's grace to make their commitment to each other strong and faithful. So But I love this. Like,
This sounds wrong. This doesn't work.
thanking God for letting them find each other so that they can live in sin.
Right?
Like this
May
doesn't
you have
make any
a long
sense.
and prosperous time with each other till you go to hell together.
Exactly. Like it's so like I kind of read it and I was like, well, I had this reaction that was kind of funny. I was like, oh, they're like so 10, 15 years ago.
I know,
right?
it's
'Cause
ridiculous.
This is so utterly lame. Even longer ago than that, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
it's so it's just baffling to me. It makes me laugh.
It feels like they should have a new motto that's like, religion, we're almost not hateful. We're getting there. We're really close to not being complete bigots.
Yeah.
We still are, but we're getting there. All right. Well, I am going to take us up to Canada, where there has been a bit of a ballyhoo in Saskatoon. This story centers around a fella by the name of Keith Johnson, who was the former head of a Christian school that's been under a bit of a microscope recently when the CBC, I think, did published a piece on this school and the fact that a whole bunch of students have come forward and said that it's like a terribly abusive place.
Oh, geez.
They said that they were subjected to things like one kid went through a, quote, violent exorcism to cast out the gay demons.
Yeah. I'm sure it worked.
Another kid was put in solitary confinement every day for 2 weeks. So that's great.
Wow.
At a school. We're not talking about a prison. This is not a juvenile hall or whatever. Not that would be acceptable there either. Anyway, lots of accusations of abuse. And no, the school has not responded in any way that would be, okay or acceptable.
Yeah.
So now victims that have now grown to more than 30 victims are filing a class action lawsuit against the school.
Yeah.
Which is great. I find that appropriate. However, this head guy, this Keith Johnson fella, he's skipped town. He's nowhere to be found.
Oh.
So apparently his son-in-law, who has admitted that he is in contact with him, they are now making his son-in-law responsible for delivering the papers to him because they can't find him to serve him with papers.
Oh my.
So they're doing a thing called substitutional service.
Oh, interesting.
Where they're serving the son-in-law and making him get it to him. So, I mean, look, I'm surprised that more of these pastors don't skip town anyway. Like, half of them, they all know what they did. You might as well run away. Start a new life somewhere. Manitoba.
Get out of town. Ugh.
So,
I mean, it does sort of admit some guilt, right? When you run. It feels guilty. It feels like a guilty act, right?
It does. It doesn't feel 100% on the level. This school, by the way, has received lots of government funding. What amounts to currently like $700,000 per year.
Oh wow. Okay.
So they were doing pretty good. A lot of the employees of that school are now at other places, and they've started to get fired because this CBC report was pretty exhaustive and talked about a bunch of different former employees and stuff. So,
oh wow, that's
it's collapsing in on itself.
Yeah.
But goodness gracious, when your name is Pastor Keith Johnson and you're on the lam, well, that sounds about right. These days, hearing about a good pastor is the shocking thing.
The news never reports the good stories, Dan.
Well, that's true.
All right. Well, I'm going to take us to Iran for just a minute.
Oh, please.
Not a
yes.
place I want to spend a lot of time, I have to admit. But just for a minute to check in on a situation there where women have been burning headscarves in anti headscarf protests.
Whoa.
This is
Calm down, ladies. Wow.
It is turning into a big deal. This is in response to the death of a woman, 22-year-old woman by the name of Masa Amini. She was arrested by the morality police. Love that.
Which sounds like a fake thing, but in Iran, you know it's true.
It's terribly, terribly real, unfortunately, because she was not wearing her headscarf correctly, apparently, or enough, right? She wasn't covered enough. And anyway, so they arrested her. They hauled her off. She was in detention for 3 days before her family was notified that she had, according to the police, suffered a heart attack, right?
Oh, shit.
And was in a coma, and she passed away 3 days later. Well, this story gets out, it gets reported on, and the nation has erupted in opposition and outrage over this incident. The Iranian women have not been happy with this whole compulsory headscarf wearing law for quite some time, right?
Right.
And according to this article, there's sort of, it's required, women wear it, but there's plenty of women who are kind of, you know, they'll just kind of, it won't be very sincerely worn.
Right.
Anyway, in about 12 cities, huge protests have formed. And I don't know, have you seen these videos, Dan? Have you watched any of them?
No, I haven't seen any. I don't know where to find news. So I don't.
Yeah, whatever. No, there's one that has been seen widely now, of a woman. It's in a big public square, very large crowd that's chanting. And she's sort of climbed up on something and she's cutting her hair off. Right. She's actively cutting her hair off. And the crowd, which I guess cutting your hair is a sign of mourning. So she's getting up and she's mourning for this woman who is a victim of the morality police over, you know, this hijab issue. And so she's up there, she's doing that. And the crowd starts chanting, obviously in Farsi, but they were shouting "Death to the dictator," which is wild.
Wow.
And then there was another one where it was like a big circle of a big crowd of people, and there was a circle that had sort of opened up in the middle of it, and women were running in and throwing their headscarves into a fire in the middle of the circle. And again, the crowd chanting all sorts of things. And apparently in that one, it was death to the dictator and something about the fact that they didn't like the headscarf rules. I don't remember what that one was. But
interesting.
But it's really turning into a thing. Now, there's a history. It might seem like revolution is right on the horizon or whatnot. I don't know what's going to happen in the days between recording and the show getting posted, obviously. But apparently Iran has a history of like really violently putting down protests. So
yeah, it seems like a scary place to protest.
yeah,
I would be afraid to do so, but I'm
yeah,
man, you push people far enough and they'll just put themselves at risk.
There's some serious strength in numbers. Like these crowds look really big, like really huge demonstrations. So something to watch, because that is the regime in Iran. Jesus Christ, could you imagine living through that?
I mean, I feel like I've had a small taste and I don't like it. I don't feel like I've gotten anywhere near it, but I've had a small taste of it, and I opt out. I want not.
I wouldn't even say a small taste. I wouldn't even say it amounts to an amuse-bouche. It is
no.
No,
You don't think the
Compared to
Trump
what they
era
have?
is at least a bit of an appetizer toward that kind of totalitarian regime?
I think it had some things that were really good warnings to us.
Yeah.
Things that were scary to see, but no, we weren't living in some regime where we couldn't, speak out against leaders and what have
I
you.
don't know. Abortion's tricky now and stuff. So
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm not saying things are great, but
right. Fair enough. Okay.
I'm just saying their situation is really, really bad. So
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, speaking of really bad, I'm going to take us to South Carolina. It's the worst of the Carolinas by far.
oh,
I've never actually been to South Carolina. I've been to North Carolina. It was fine. Anyway, there's been a bit of a kerfuffle.
no.
This 2022 to 2023 South Carolina budget has come out, and there's a line item in there that raised an eyebrow or two, maybe even, dare I say it, a hackle. Which is that, so this is the kind of thing where, and this is buried in the thing on page 443 of the budget, and there's all of these just sort of little appropriations for this, that, and the other. To give you an example, the Fairfield County Summer Nutrition Program got $6,000. That's very nice.
Cool.
Camp David Summer Academic Enrichment got a very nice endowment of $50,000. These are sort of one-time things.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the line that says Christian Learning Center of Greenville County. Now, astute listeners to our show may remember that that's not fucking okay. This is a religious organization getting a grant directly from the state. Not an awesome thing. This grant is because that organization is hoping to build a big. They're hoping to start a big school. And it's the schools for it would be a residential school for disadvantaged and at-risk youth. Okay. I mean, unfortunately, that means that they're going to be preached at, and I hate that. I want our disadvantaged youth to not be further disadvantaged by, having Jesus hollered at them all the time. But, whatever. It's nice if people want to help. But it's not okay that the state of South Carolina is giving them, do you want to guess the number?
Oh, it's going to be a lot. Over 100,000.
$1.5 million.
Oh my God.
So,
of course, it's the Christians that get the big, like some county summer nutrition program, right? Gets $6,000. Is that what it was?
Yeah. Yep. That was it.
And so, okay. So there's actually a lesson here, Dan. And this is the lesson. Hopefully no Christians. Well, it's my advice to Christians. Don't put Christian in the name.
You right?
Because it's just going to get caught. It's going to get flagged every single time. Don't call it such and such church. Don't call it Saint so-and-so's whatever. Yeah, that's how you get away with this stuff.
The Nudge Nudge Wink Wink Institute of Greenville County, and you'll be in great shape. So anyway, the FFRF, the FFRF, our friends over at the Freedom from Religion Foundation are suing.
Excellent.
On behalf of a few residents there in the state, and we'll see what happens with that. Who knows? But God damn it, it's the stupidest timeline now. I don't like it.
Well, actually, Dan, that story I think segues really nicely into my next story, which has to do with the results of a poll that were released, I believe, this last week by Politico, where they asked 2,100 random Americans their position on whether the United States should be a Christian nation or not. So they asked the participants if they believed that the Constitution would even allow the United States government to declare the U.S. a Christian nation, right?
Sure.
That was, I guess, the first question. And they found that 70% of Americans said that the Constitution would not allow such a declaration, right?
Okay, 70%. That's
70%.
That's solid.
57% of Republicans said that, right? Said so.
But that's still almost 60.
Yeah. And 81% of Democrats said agreed with that. And then they followed up by asking, would you favor or oppose the United States officially declaring the United States to be a Christian nation? 62% of respondents said that they would oppose such a declaration.
Okay. That's not enough, but okay.
And so let's see, 83% of Democrats, right, opposed. Right. 39% of Republicans.
Gosh.
So that means 61% of Republicans support the idea of declaring the United States a Christian nation.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, even though 57% said that would be unconstitutional.
Right. Because they care about the Constitution until it opposes the thing that they actually want. And then they're like, well, but I don't think it actually meant that part. They were just kidding about that bit.
No, they meant it, and they meant it even stronger than it's currently being enforced. But yeah, isn't that wild? The article goes on and it breaks it down more by generation and points out that evangelicals were the strongest, group of people to support the idea.
Shocking.
And older people supported the idea in much higher numbers and whatnot. But it's what it all boils down to is in a country that politically swings so much, right? Like where when one party, if one party has a clean sweep, they can get what they want, right? Like if they have the executive and the legislative all dialed in, Democrats are doing okay right now, getting things passed, getting things signed, right? Like things are their legislative agenda. It's not 100% what the left would really want, but the Democrats are getting stuff done.
Thanks, Joe Manchin.
The terrifying thought is Republicans getting in power again in this country because their agenda.
It is not a reasonable time for the Republican Party, so we need to really work hard to make sure that they are not voted into power.
It is brutal.
It is an unreasonable moment for Republicanism, for sure, here in these United States.
Just put that out there as a motivator, everyone.
Yeah. Midterms coming up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll close us off with a bit of an update. Last week, we talked about Yeshiva University and how they really, really don't want to host an LGBTQ club because they, we're Orthodox Jews and damn it, we want to hate just like everybody else. And the U.S. Supreme Court got involved, and then and now they've said that now the Supreme Court has said that they have to allow the club and whatever. Well, they have found a response to that, which is fine. Nobody gets a club.
Oh, that old trick. Okay.
Yep. So at least for the time being, they are suspending all clubbiness, at least for a while they sort of sort out what they're to do, and try and figure out what their next move is.
Wow.
So, bummer for the kids in the baseball analytics club or the zoology club. But apparently to the rescue comes a group called JQY, which is a group that actually organized to serve queer Orthodox youth.
Mm-hmm.
And they are basically, they're like, we got your backs and we're going to let you, we're going to fund your club.
Oh, nice.
So,
and give you a place to meet and blah, blah, blah. And
I assume so. Jewish Queer Youth is the name of the thing. I was hard. Nice. I was looking all over for that name.
Well, this
So they plan to raise a bunch of money, and I
Nice.
think they're going to support other clubs too. They're just going to be like, you know what? Fuck it. Everybody gets a club with us. You guys don't. Fuck.
You philatelists and numismatists, you get over here.
That's right. That's right. Everybody come and club over here. So there you go.
That reminds me though, Dan, of like Salt Lake City back in the day, right? West High started a gay club, right? Like
That's
was
right.
it the 90s or something, or the early aughts?
It was my time. It was just barely after my time.
Okay. And then so the school district was like, no after school activities.
That's right. We don't do clubs here anymore. There's no more clubs. And it's always just the most harmless thing in the world. It's like, it's not, I mean, it's funny because these administrations make it seem like it's like the gay sex and dungeon club or whatever, but it's just like gay people talking about the experience of being gay. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
I think everybody will be okay.
Yeah.
But you know what? Fuck it. I hope that it closes yeshiva for good. I hope
I'm sure
religious
that'll happen.
Religious schools are stupid. Anyway, if you'd like to write to me and tell me that I'm anti-Semitic for even suggesting that or whatever, feel free to write into us podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Frank,
Dan,
as a former Sooner, as a former resident of the fine state of Oklahoma, you know that sometimes that state, like our own, can be plagued with drought.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
The Dust Bowl, famously.
They've had a bit of it. That's right. Famously, there was a whole section where there was called the Dust Bowl. Anyway, Oklahoma Senator James Lankford is talking in the clip we're about to play to, I'm not even sure who he's talking to. Now, he's going to talk about a moment when some rain finally came in. As Hemant Mehta points out on his Twitter account, he doesn't mention that the state actually got flooded in major cities, which would be, bad. But he knows the reason why it started to rain. So
I believe that as these states embrace biblical truth as it pertains to life, that I believe God's going to bless those nations, those states. As those states come in alignment with God, I believe it's going to be a testimony to the rest of the nation. Again, another sign of God's mercy that He will pour out His blessing on those that choose to walk in His way.
Yeah, I agree. And that's not some radical principle just for people to be faithful and for God to bless them. I mean, it's just the most basic principle of all. As funny as it sounds, we've experienced a big drought in Oklahoma. The week after we passed this law to be able to protect the lives of children, we had the most overwhelming rainstorm that came across the state. And it was such an interesting conversation among people in the church, like, did that just happen? Did that just occur?
Frank, did that just happen?
Yeah, it rained.
It rained. Did they just pass a hateful anti-abortion law?
Yeah.
And then a whole week later, or it rained a lot?
Yeah. What is it? Post hoc ergo propter hoc or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Something like that.
After, therefore, because of it or something. Yeah. That's cool. That's a classic fallacy. Right.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Which is why they were asking if it happened, I guess.
Oh my God.
Man.
It is amazing that like something like, rain happening, right, can just be like, yep, we're on the right track.
We are doing this is going well. This is going great.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh man,
it's really well, I guess hopefully they never succeed enough with their hateful efforts that for them to be proven wrong, right?
Right.
But I would
Yeah.
love them to be proven wrong because, like, you know, the planet is warming. Things are just going to continue to get more extreme and awful. Your droughts are going to be longer and drier. Your rainy seasons are going to be intense and awful.
Well, and apparently that particular senator is a climate change denier, so that's perfect.
So yeah, okay. Great. Wonderful.
So we had some folks call into us. Let's get right to it. Megan wrote in to say, "Hey, Frank and Dan, I wanted to affirm what Dan was saying last week about centering some of our rhetoric around Christian fear, around the way it's used to manipulate them. I know a lot of people feel uneasy about this, as Frank did initially, saying he likes thinking of them as agents of their own hate. I understand this reaction, and this mindset makes it easier to cope with the hurt that they cause us. But that black and white way of labeling a group as hateful and fully aware does take away some important nuance, and it's exactly what they do to us all the time. It's dangerous to discourage empathy towards any group, period, especially as people who believe in reform. This doesn't mean excusing anyone's behavior, but it does mean acknowledging the systems of control that keep them in a state of fear and submission. There isn't always such a strong divide between victim and perpetrator. They aren't always mutually exclusive. I think centering the way they are manipulated could be a good way to encourage more critical thinking and show them that we aren't the God-hating, emotionless monsters we are often painted to be. I know it's hard to acknowledge the humanity of people who deny ours, but there's a lot of strength in that. It may even be what helps us reach them. It was for me." So there you go. Thanks, Megan, for that. Turns out Frank was totally wrong and I was totally right.
That's exactly what she said.
I feel like that's the crux of it. That's the main thing. SLP wrote into us, said, "Dear Frank and Dan, I think we need a follow-up to Dan's exploratory escapades to the Jordan Peterson Bible study group. I think this one hits me particularly hard as an evangelical, in the real manly times of the 90s, Promise Keepers, Ride Your Harley, Game Night, which was where you brought whatever wild game you had killed and swapped and grilled it in a manly but no beer event." Oh.
So manly.
I've watched the right grow increasingly obsessed with being whatever the hell they think an alpha male is. And if I find my values from that time, Jordan Peterson is in no way it. He uses $10 words, is snobby as shit, and whines way too often. So this Jordan Peterson Bible study group really has impressed on me exactly how weirdly changed everything has become. Anyway, here's the thing. I think that's an interesting point because, yeah, Jordan Peterson is very much he's a bit effete. His gesticulations feel almost effeminate sometimes. I don't see why he's such a big hero of the sort of incel right, but they love him. I don't know. The Jordan Peterson Bible study group is a fascinating place. I will tell you, I don't interact all the time, but when I do, I try to make sure that I stay on the just barely on the side of still maybe they could believe that I believe the Bible is true. And normally what I do if I'm challenging them on anything is just quote the Bible to them, which is more than enough. That is, they don't know their own book at the fuck all. It is amazing. And they don't know the history. They don't know anything. So it is fun to go after them. A little bit fun. And then here's the thing. They are so fucking calcified in their thinking that even when you present them with, sort of words on paper, this is your book saying this. This isn't me saying this. This isn't, they're like, that's not what it means. It's something else. No, it's blah, blah, blah. And eventually it just becomes like, okay, I'm just hitting my head against a wall here. So for the most part, what I do is I just sort of throw something shocking out at them, and then I just leave. I don't. They comment. There's strings of people yelling at me, and then but I don't respond, which I think is a fun way to handle it.
Oh, they hate you so much.
They do. It's great. I love it. We have a voicemail, don't we?
We do indeed.
Hi, guys. This is River from Texas, and I just listened to your conversation about satanic panic and stuff like that, and fear especially. And I wanted to thank you both, and especially you, Frank, for your honesty and vulnerability in like showing us what it's like to say, oh, hey, that's like I'm having like a strong and strange reaction to something that I'm being told, and I don't know how to process that reaction, and I don't know if that reaction is true or correct, but I need to work through it and think about it and understand it. That's a really hard thing to do. And I think that, Frank, you had compassion for that thought, and Dan, you had curiosity for like where it was coming from and what it might be rooted in. And I don't know, you showed us what it's like to have those conversations at all with another person, but also like that's the same template you use when you're dealing with it internally and you don't have anybody to talk to it or talk through it with. So I wanted to thank you for doing that. I hope you have a good day.
Well, thank you, River.
Yeah. I it's one of those things. Look, at very least, we're being authentic because we don't always know what the fuck we're going to be doing, how we're going to respond to each other or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, it's clearly not a scripted show. But no, that's a nice perspective because, like in retrospect, it's funny that the conversation caught me so off guard. Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it really kind of is like thinking back through it. It's like, like I like to land on the side of being empathetic and thinking through what the other side might be, what they're up against and whatnot. And I just was in a moment of, no, I really dislike these people. And
that's totally understandable.
They actively, like, I think that was the same episode where the audio clip, you were like, I can't find anywhere they don't say the F word. I mean, the gay F word, right?
Yeah.
Like and it's we don't want to put that out there too much. Like it's triggering. And so like these are people who actively are like in opposition to me, my life, my marriage.
Yeah.
Just
you living a happy life, not hurting nobody.
Yeah.
They want to screw it up for you.
Yeah. And in that moment, you're like preaching empathy and trying to care about the fact that they might be a little fear motivated. And I wasn't having any of it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It was a funny reaction to me in retrospect. But anyway, Thank you, River. That was nice.
That was nice. Do we have some folks to thank?
We do indeed, Dan. We have a new patron over there on Patreon, a new teacher, in fact, by the name of David. So thank you so much,
Wonderful.
David, for signing up to support the show. If you'd like to join David, you can do so. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab, and there's some options there. And Dan, as always, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
Woo! Stick around, there's more show coming right up.
Dan.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what I love more than anything in this whole wide world?
Tell me.
Any excuse to consume anything with pumpkin spice. Like it is.
I wasn't sure what it was going to be. I knew you were going to go with something traditionally autumnal, but I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for pumpkin spice.
Yeah. Did I think I told it on the show. Did I tell it on the show that I didn't even realize that pumpkin spice didn't have pumpkin in it until recently?
Oh man.
Just always sounded disgusting to me.
I do like a nice pumpkin spice thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm a fan.
I need to get over my aversion to it, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's just yummy. It's just spices.
Well, I thought
Spices
it had
are yummy.
pumpkin. I thought people were like having like pumpkin lattes. I don't know how this never occurred to me. But anyway.
Oh, well, I mean, it's understandable. It's okay. But no, they're not putting squash in their coffee. In the meantime, though, it is, as you and I record right now, we're recording on a day that we don't normally record, but we're recording on a Thursday. It is the autumnal equinox. It's the vernal equinox, whatever that means. The verns come out. And it is, and that means that the pagans are in their element.
Indeed. I think vernal refers to the spring and autumnal or whatever.
Oh,
the fall.
I could be wrong about it. I've never known what the hell any of that shit means.
Because it's so important.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dan, it's a big time, like we're in a transition. We're transitioning to colder weather, shorter days.
We're transitioning from, in our case, the hellscape of triple-digit heat to the horrifying other hellscape of death, sadness, and frigid cold.
Yeah, and so it's a time to celebrate.
Yeah, that's right. In the meantime, we'll have some lovely moments. We'll get to it. It'll be sweater weather.
Oh, my favorite
it'll
weather.
It'll be all this stuff, but also somebody out there is going to build themselves a bonfire and have themselves a real spiritual experience dancing around it for whatever reason.
Well, we talked and Mabon. Is that how we decided to say it?
Mabon. I think it's pronounced Mabon, but I don't know. Named for a Welsh god, I suppose.
Oh, Mabon. Yeah. Okay.
And boy, those neo-Celts, those pagans, the modern pagans are excited because this is one of the, they love themselves an equinox. They love themselves a solstice. And I love to make fun of them. It is a delight in my life that they literally start invoking gods and goddesses that from various like they don't even care which gods and like this one's a Celtic one and that one's a Welsh one and this one and Apollo and what it doesn't, they don't care.
Well, we know somebody who gets into all this kind of stuff. You probably know many people. I don't know, but like we know someone in common who like really gets into the witchy stuff. Right.
Yes, exactly. and
I can't tell if it's how much in like what percentage is in seriousness and which percentage is just diving in and having fun. Right.
Sure. And that's the thing. Most of the stuff, like we sort of did a very brief look, poking around online to figure out like, how do you celebrate Mabon? And it's not like they're being like, it's very important that you have this, and this. You must put them in a circle at exactly blah, blah, blah. No, they're like, decorate your porch, go apple picking, all of these sorts of like just
declutter.
The list may as well just be fun things to do in the fall.
Right. Except for decluttering. And it was on all the lists. It's like,
it's true.
It's not fun.
Clean your house and get rid of stagnant or negative energy is the one I'm looking at. Oh God. I can't, you know what? I don't like that kind of talk anyway, but since I personally can't stand the smell of burning sage, it's particularly nasty to me. Don't smudge, people.
Yeah.
Or smudge in your own nose and don't force it on me.
I just love the Venn diagram here of people who like celebrate witchy things and shop at the Container Store, right? Like,
yeah,
like
it's a big deal.
But there's clearly overlap. Like, I get it. Like, it totally makes sense to me.
Totally. Well, you got to keep your Samhain stuff from your Mabon stuff. You know, everything's got to be compartmentalized so that you don't make a mistake and accidentally put a pumpkin in the wrong place or something. I just think so. We were talking about this. I laugh a lot about these pagans, the witchy people, because they half of them don't believe anything about real magic, or they like astrology, but they don't believe that you can cast spells, or they do believe that you can cast spells and they like astrology and the ley lines and whatever in the world, and energy is magical and blah blah blah. But at least on a fundamental level, I got to give them this: their holidays are based on something real. Like, the fact is that today the earth is straight up and down to the sun. Like it's like there's an actual measurable season thing,
right?
That they're like sort of having a moment with. And to me, that's better than a lot of most religious holidays.
Yeah,
like most religious celebrations are of, it turns out, fuck all.
Yeah.
They are not related to anything grounded in reality.
Right.
So,
but I just like the alignment of whatever with whatever, right? Why does that mean you need to start a gratitude journal? Right? Like,
you know, anything's a good excuse for a gratitude journal. It's you're just going great. There's no wrong reason for a gratitude journal.
What I love about this article that I pulled up about all this is this paragraph is, well, at least it starts out, they know me, right? It says, do you have a collection of beautiful notebooks you've never written in? I'm like, I do.
Yes, article. You know me so well. Oh, Lordy Jesus. All right. Well, happy fall, everybody. Make sure that you do your gratitude list. Go ahead and tidy up your home and start a bonfire, because winter's just around the corner and that's gonna suck. Yeah.
And eat an apple.
Go out there, eat an apple, do some crafts. Visit a farm, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
And at least we know that fall is real. Unless you're in the southern hemisphere.
Oh, then it's spring is real.
Then congratulations, it's spring. You guys have fun things to look forward to. Well, friends, if you would like to comment on this or any of the things that we've talked about for this show, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message about it. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, would you? Facebook.com/TGIAtheist. You just click the like button and then you've liked us.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members-only.
Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their beautiful music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.